This is your host, Vic. And today we have the Unobtanium Raw from Crazy 2 Circuits as part of the next installment of Overdrive October. So, as I stated, this is the Crazy Tube Circuits Unobtanium Raw version. Because everything we do here is completely raw. Where is the lamb sauce? Anyways, so reading directly from what they have in here, which here's the manual they gave. Reading directly, it states the Unobtanium was inspired by three of the most mythical and sought-after pieces of music gear and combines their ultra-rare sonic elements. A magical tone overdrive meets with two legendary amps. We have accurately recreated the circuit of the high headroom overdrive with the mythical blend of clean and overdriven tones. This side is essentially the Klon side. And with the Raw Edition is the first pedal of this kind to feature germanium transistors in the clipping section of a K-style circuit producing higher gain naturally compressed tones, which is the OC45 specifically germanium gain clipping circuit diode magic. I don't know. They're a new old stock diode, so once this sells out, it's gone. That's it. Now, the raw amp, this side, section, uses an all-analog circuit to capture the powerful side of two legendary tube amplifiers from big, fat, clean to raw singing overdrive with blooming harmonic overtones. A passive effects loop, which is actually really cool because up here they have a send and return, so you can put another effects loop within here. A passive effects loop gives you the option to connect your beloved pedals in between your overdrive and amps in the box, building your ideal rig, which I thought is very cool from what they've done here. Just because usually if you're having an overdrive and an amp, you put pedals in between, but because this is an overdrive and an amp side by side, you have your send and return already in there. And that's smart. Very nice. But moving on. So for the overdrive, we have our standard gain, treble, and volume, and it also comes with a buffered and true bypass switch, just so you can choose if you want buffered or true bypass. And then the stock here is the original mythical drive circuit produced by the fabled germanium diodes, and the OC45 is higher gain tones produced by the new old stock germanium transistors in the clipping section. So these are the super duper awesome magical tone of tone. Just ooh. And once they sell out, that's about it, because it's new old stock, which is why this is the Raw Edition. So if you do want one of these, you can search around to try and find them. I firstly found mine at Gear Hero, which I have posted about before a couple times because they give you the little tote bag when you order from them. Then moving over to the amp side, we have already volume, and also you can just do if you just want the amp sim or the overdrive, one or the other on or not. So for the amp, of course, we have gain, which is just the gain for the normal compression and drive. Emphasis adds gain and adjusts the presence and bottom in response before the signal is overdriven, brighter, tighter, and enhanced pick attack as you turn clockwise. But I'm not using the pick, obviously, given this is a synthesizer, which is the Micro Korg 2. Tone controls the amount of post overdrive high-end frequencies, brighter as you turn clockwise, which I was able to see. We're going to go through all of this. Volume is obviously the volume. And so the voicing toggle, which between ODS and SSS is the two Amp voices, ODS is for raw singing overdrive, enhanced mid frequencies, and blooming harmonic overtones, and SSS is to clean, natural, organic compression. Now there is internal trimmers, which you can either boost the ODS or trim the SSS. So for clarification, the ODS and the SSS, as I wanted to make sure I was getting my information right, which is why you may have seen a cut there, is the ODS is standing for, well, they're both dumbles, which is the first thing. The ODS stands for the Dumble Overdrive Special, and then the SSS is the Steel String Singer. And so both of them are dumbles, so you get 2 dumbles in the Klon. Instead of 3 bedrooms in a good neighborhood, we have 2 dumbles in a Klon, so I guess that is what we will have to settle for today. Cool. Death Grips is some of the greatest music of all time. I will not take arguments on that. Anyways, let's go ahead and just show what this sounded like before anything. Obviously, I did a little bit of a harsh tone just by itself before moving on to anything else. So now let's go and show just the overdrive side. And then just the amp. And now together. I think that's pretty nice. Awesome. So let's go, and of course, let's just see the difference between buffered and true. So of course, this is just our normal tone. Looking at the waveforms, which I am zooming in to see, there is a tiny difference. I don't know. I've always been hard-pressed to find any difference, and then by the time I upload it, render it down, and all that, no one on YouTube's going to be able to tell. So, cool. I just thought to show that. But we're going to keep it untrue because we're just truly awesome. Mostly me. So let's just start from everything right there. And we're just going to go through the knobs. So of course we're just going to start with the Klon side. I'm going to do everything I can over here. Then we're going to move over to the Dumble side, do everything I can over there. Then we're going to work them together and then show off some examples of what the different sounds is. So everything's down to nothing. We have the stock diodes. And now as we have everything down to a middle section over there, let's start with the Dumble side. Well, it seems that there is some noise on the higher end if everything's all cranked. Granted, this is an analog circuit, and it's doing a lot in between, so I could expect that. As of course, when having everything up and nothing else, there's nothing there. But that, I try to demonstrate as many combinations as I could within a short amount of time there. I am going to have to remember, so when I was flicking these parts here between the stock and the OC45 specific circuits, there was a little bit of popping, so I'll make sure to clip that in post so it just doesn't hurt. Right, let's go ahead and find another tone, and then from that other tone, we'll go ahead and have some fun playing. I personally like this one too. I like a lot of things. But this one, so to compare it with other the other one that I've reviewed thus far of melding together different circuits, being the Horse Breaker, which melded together a Klon and a Blues Breaker, I find this style of clones to be a very neat style of affecting what you can get, just because when you're meshing together two circuits, because usually like think of it this way, If you're getting a Klon overdrive, you're usually going to have it working with other things. That's just how it is, because it's a clean, transparent overdrive with usually a buffered bypass. So being able to have something to mess with it already built into it, that helps a lot in terms of getting a lot more of what you want out of it. And especially with the send and return loop on this too, to make this sort of like an all-in-one style deal. That's very nice. I do like that. Plus, I know like Dumbles is another one of those mythical super things that are just so hard to find. Like I know like it's Klons, Dumbles, and the Analog Man King of Tone. At least the King of Tone you can order. You're just going to wait 5 or 6 years. the Klons is like you're not going to be able to I think there's like one that went for auction, and at the time of filming there is one going for auction right now, and at the time of filming last time I checked it was at $7,100, which it's like, and the bidding's not even done. Like the bidding finishes on Sunday, and I'm going to post, like you're going to see my post about that before you see this video, of course, of whatever the final price is, and likely me making fun of it, because I don't care if it's like, this is like the rarest thing ever. Paying over $7,000 for a pedal is not worth it. I don't care who you are or how much money you have. Like, I guess you're going to put it under glass, or if you actually play it, it's like, buddy, there's clones out there. You don't need the posture to have a real clone. I just can't wrap my head around it, paying over $7,000 for a transparent overdrive pedal. That the hype has gone way beyond anyone could have ever thought, because that's just nuts. Anyways, it's just something you can buy. Here's let's go over the points. This is the construction. This is solid. This is a solid feeling pedal. The knobs are a little bit slippy and it's a little cluttered, but I mean, with the smaller form factor, I can understand that, just because you're trying to fit a lot into something that's not going to take up a whole board. And which, that is a funny thing about actual clones, those are huge. So it's a little cluttered, but I mean, everything feels tactile and nice. This is plastic. They have a little bit of grips, but they're a little bit slippy, so I'm just going to keep it. And I mean, the knobs feel nice. The send and return feels nice. The little jacks are good. I don't have a problem with this. I would give it a 4 out of 5. It's a good, solid build. Obviously, it feels slightly wider for my hands, and then, of course, metal knobs, that I say. Then, yeah, I would give it a little bit more points, but 4 out of 5 is a very good score. Now, the sound itself. This being combined with a dumble and doing all those other things right here, 2 dumbles, in fact, and giving you all the options of all the different circuitry and the send and return loop, and just the amount of features this gives, even though it has just this part, like, okay, the clone itself, it's a 4 out of 5 good clone. It has the 2 different dials. If they even found dual stock, cool. It's a clone, awesome. But the fact that they decided to combine it with 2 dumble circuitry, and send and return, expression pedal availability, all this other stuff in here, easily, this is unique enough to make it a one-of-a-kind special deal that I will give it a 5 out of 5 for, in effect. Awesome. Just like I gave like the Horsebreaker very high props with it, because of all they were able to do, and the sounds that came out of it were amazing, because it pre-combined the circuits, it let them do things. And actually, I'm going to bump this down to a 4.8, because there was one thing that the Horsebreaker was able to do, which is where I was able to choose if the overdrive came before or after the Bluesbreaker. I know some people are going to be like, oh, you don't do that for an amp. It's like, okay, I understand that there's a specific order. I just like having the option. 4.9985. So less than a micro point or whatever it is. But because like I'm trying to find crazier sounds, so I like being able to mess with everything, the series and the orders and stuff like that. But overall, we'll just give it a 4 point. We'll give it a 4.78658258.9 out of 5. I think it's a good number. But awesome pedal. Great job. I'm going to have to look more into this company because it's my first pedal I've got from them, that's one thing that I do enjoy about this series is that I'm able to see what other pedal builders that I usually don't buy from have to offer. I've been able to both like meet quote-unquote brands and see a lot more brands out there than what my usual wheelhouse is. Because my usual wheelhouse I really never strayed far away from. Of course, like everyone's used Boss. I've had a couple boutique effects like from Intensive Care Audio, Red Panda, and Source Audio. But being able to stretch my wings a little bit to see what more is out here is like really nice, and I'm enjoying seeing what all these different companies have to offer, as now I'm able to play around more, essentially, and being able to get a lot more fun out of what I've been doing here. So, this has been your host, Nick. Go ahead and leave a comment on what you think about this circuit here, or crazy tube circuits, and what do you think about this clone adjacent, and how it works well with a dumble, 2 dumbles. And if you have any comments on any other of the what's it called, like combination circuits, please let me know. I do have other combination ones that reviews are pending that will come up after this video, but please let me know so I can make sure to get all of them in case you think I don't have them yet. Go ahead and like the videos. It does help me reach the algorithm, as I don't know how the algorithm works. I just post videos and people show up and watch them every now and then. If you're one of the usual 6 or 7 people that are watching this, hi, thanks for coming by. Please share this video with your friends, as I would appreciate more views and getting my channel out there, given this is a very more unique than usual series, as I haven't found anyone on YouTube yet that is trying to review every single clone, specifically on synths. I've seen like a couple comparisons, but they never are doing on the scale that I am doing, so I would appreciate y'all sharing this around to anyone you believe will work with this. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe, as it does help me also, as I'm trying to grow the channel to get to the next milestone of 500 subscribers, and I'll do something special for that. But once again, this has been your host, Nick. Thanks for watching. Bye.